This is the Louie T Network. Hey, either you're outside or you're
in the lab room.
Draft zone.
Who else could it be? But me, your man, Louie T. Welcome, you are in the lab room. Of course, I'm your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. This is the 2015 NFL Draft Wrap-Up Series, where I aim to break down all 32 teams in the National Football League's 2015 NFL Draft. How do we do that? Good question. Simply look at each and every single team's draft by breaking down each and every single selection using our baseball grading scale. Single, double, triple, home run. There are no strikeouts in the 2015 NFL Draft Wrap-Up Series, as we cannot tell how these players will pan out, and I don't want to discount any of these young men before they get their chance in the National Football League. And so we get an aggregate score after adding up all of those grades for each and every single individual pick. We divide by the number of selections made by that team, get a final grade for that team's draft, and move on to the next team in the process that you, the viewers, select. This is the you pick format, or as I affectionately have dubbed it, the up format. You pick, you the viewers, pick the next team up on the program, and simply be the first to leave a comment at the bottom of this video and future videos stating the phrase next, N-E-X-T, next, and the team you would like to see next. I don't care how you phrase it. I don't care if you use a nickname, the first name, the last name of a team. I don't care if you say, hey, Jags got next. I don't care how you do it. As long as the phrase next and the team's name is somewhere in that comment and you're first, that team is up next on this series. So, with that being said, and now, the next team up in the process, picked by you, the viewers, is none other than the Atlanta Falcons, the Dirty Birds. And boy, that takes me back, man. I was watching the 1998 Minnesota Vikings missing rings the other day, and I will never, ever forget the Dirty Birds. I will never forgive the 1998 Atlanta Falcons. To me, they spoiled what was going to be the greatest Super Bowl ever. 15-1 Minnesota Vikings. One of the best teams offensively these eyes have ever seen. Rookie Randy Moss, that rookie season is legendary, will never be topped. Chris Carter still in the prime of his career. Jake Reed, one of the best third options at receiver you'll find. One of the most underrated running backs in NFL history, Robert Smith. He used to look like he was gliding. I never saw the guy run fast, but he was running fast. That offense was electric. I don't know if I've ever seen an offense that was that explosive, that good at just about every position. The offensive line, ridiculous. And Randall Cunningham had a reincarnation for the ages. That was just a juggernaut of a football team. Then you had the Denver Broncos on the other side. They had won the Super Bowl the previous year. They ran through the AFC. They looked like a team poised and primed to repeat, but the Vikings were going to give them everything they could handle. And then the damn 14-2 Atlanta Falcons show up and ruin the whole party. Hey, I can't blame the Falcons for coming out there and doing what they needed to do. I blame Gary Anderson for missing that damn field goal. I blame the Vikings for dropping the interception that would have ended the game. And look, I'm not here to rehash old hard feelings, because you know I'm not gonna ever let that go. Okay, that's always gonna stick with me. But we're talking about the new Dirty Birds, the new Atlanta Falcons. These guys need to get over the hump, and they needed to make wholesale changes, and that they did. New head coach Dan Quinn coming over from the Seattle Seahawks brings a defensive presence that this team has lacked for years. under Mike Smith, who was supposed to be a defensive-minded head coach. We'll see if this new brand of defense is what the doctor ordered for this Atlanta Falcons football team, but you need the horses up front to get it done. Let's talk about their 2015 NFL draft and see if they weren't able to improve their football team enough to see them get back into the driver's seat in the NFC South that has currently been run by the Carolina Panthers. Atlanta Falcons had a chance to really do some damage last year and let the Panthers come into their house and stomp a mud hole in them. Let's see if this draft class can help them change the tide in the NFC South division. We start in the first round. 8th overall selection, defensive end out of Clemson, Vic Beasley is the pick. This is a stud. If you're talking about best pure pass rusher in the 2015 NFL draft, and we had a lot of pass rushers, a lot of quality pass rushers in this draft. None of them were better and more pure at the position. A natural pass rusher is like what I like to call him. No one was more pure nor natural than Vic Beasley, and to me, you got the best of both worlds. This guy is explosive, he's electric, he's dynamic, he's got a stable full of moves. There's a lot to like here. I'm not going to break them down. I've already done that. You're looking for a thorough breakdown of what Vic Beasley is going to bring to the table for this Atlanta Falcons football team. Then check out my Draft Prospects 101 series where I broke down him and a number of players that I thought were going to be elite prospects in the upcoming draft. So to get back to Vic Beasley and what he brings to the table, the Falcons have not had a consistent pass rusher since John Abraham, which coincidentally is the last time this Falcons team was in the playoffs. They desperately need to get to the other team's quarterback. Corey Bierman has fallen off of the cliff. He got injured, has never recovered fully from that injury. And to me, you haven't had the presence that you've looked for, you've longed for at the defensive end position. You've drafted guys, Malachi Goodman, hoping someone would just give you something. You haven't had any success. Remember, what was his name? Jamal Anderson? What was the guy's name? I don't remember. Out of Arkansas, he was a bust. Yeah, you've had opportunities to get guys and they just haven't panned out. So, to me, this is a big pick for the Falcons. And to me, in the first round, 8th overall selection, defensive end out of Clemson, Vic Beasley is hit hard, hit deep, out of here. It's a home run for the Atlanta Falcons. This man said it would be a dream come true to play for the Atlanta Falcons. Well, good for you, Atlanta. Way to make that man's dreams turn into a reality. This guy was the best at his position in this draft, and he is now an Atlanta Falcon. We go on to the second round. 42nd overall selection, cornerback out of LSU, Jalen Collins is the selection for the Atlanta Falcons. Let's talk about his pro. 6'1", 203-pound defensive back. This is a big kid, and he is very athletic. Speaking of which, 4'4", 40 is the next pro. That's electric speed. And for a guy his size running that fast, that is good news for the Atlanta Falcons. If you ask me, going throughout the whole process, I thought this was the first round pick. You look at what he has. This is a rare combination of size, speed. He's a height, weight, speed specimen. You don't see guys like him grow on trees and come around very often. We see receivers that are 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", come along all the time in the National Football League, but we don't see big corners matching their type of athleticism coming into the NFL very often. So I thought this was a guy that teams were going to be salivating over, but because of some of his off-the-field issues and exploits before the draft even got underway, kind of made some teams take a second look at him and say, you know what? He may not be worth the headache. And so you get him in the second round. To me, this is a steal. This is a big-time pickup for the Falcons. He's a fluid athlete. I look at him, and there are a lot of things that he does well, and one of them is change directions and stop and start. And these are all qualities that you're looking for in elite corners. The reason why Darrelle Revis is elite, he isn't the fastest guy in the world. I bet you if you time Darrelle Revis out, he might not even run a 4.4 or anything, okay? He might be running a 4.52. But the thing that makes Darrelle Revis elite is the fact that A, he's physical. He knows he can get away with a little bit of extracurricular activity. He puts his hands on you and he stays close. He keeps the receiver in his hip pocket. He stays hip to hip with the receiver. He stacks well, but also what Darrelle Revis does extremely well is he stops. His agility is on 1,000. Okay, a lot of people don't talk about that, but Darrelle Revis stops and starts and changes directions with the best of them. And I think Jalen Collins has the ability to do that as well. He's a very fluid athlete. He's aware. You gotta know your surroundings. You gotta know where the football is. You gotta know where the wide receiver is. You gotta know where the football is in proximity to the wide receiver. You gotta know all of these things. You need to be aware. He is aware. He knows what's going on around him. The only thing is he needs to make more plays. I'll talk about that a little bit later on, but he is very aware. And because of that awareness, the next pro, he's around the football very often. And when you're around the football, I say this all the time, the more you're around the football, the more good things tend to happen for you. Things are going to happen in your favor when you're around the football. And so I look at him and I feel like there's still some key ingredients missing here. But there are a lot of workable parts and things that you just don't find every day in cornerbacks. And so I look at this kid and I think to myself, Nnamdi Asomugha. Here's a 6'2", about 210-pound corner. Came into the league. He didn't get it the first 2 or 3 years with Oakland, but he was always around the football. The light bulb came on in about year 4. Nnamdi was always around the football. Then things started to click. He started to understand route combinations. He started to understand what guys were doing and how they were coming out of their breaks, and it would allow him to jump routes to get into the picture and get the football. He was always there, but never knew how to react fast enough to get his hands on the football. And then the light bulb came on, the film study came on, the coaching kicked in, and then he had a 9 interception year. And just like that, Nnamdi Asomugha was a household name. I see those type of qualities in Jalen Collins, but he's got to take well to coaching. He's got to kick the off the field stuff out of the way, and he's got to be able to have the light switch come on. You got to have the right coaches around him, and he's got to be able to learn from them. And he's going to make some mistakes. It always happens, but he's got to be able to overcome those mistakes and become a better football player because of it. He's not afraid of a challenge. That's my last pro for this guy. You look at any tape you want, and he's going up against the best receiver. And he's in their face. I remember Amari Cooper, Alabama tape. He's here. He's in Amari Cooper's grill the entire game. Now, Amari Cooper roasted him. Now, Amari did drop the football about 5 or 6 or 7 times in that game. But off the line of scrimmage, even though Jalen Collins would come in his face and then give him space other times, he was beating him off the line of scrimmage. It was just a better receiver in front of him. The guy was better than him, but he wasn't afraid. He wasn't in awe of Amari Cooper. You know how sometimes guys get into the league and they're in awe of Calvin Johnson. They're in awe of Des Bryant. They're in awe of Demaryius Thomas, A.J. Green, and some of the better, bigger athletes at the wide receiver position, and they come in and they get torched. He's not in awe of anybody. He's ready for a challenge. He's ready to get in your face and give you some work. And then you have to prove to him that you're good and you're worthy of being called one of the best in the league. And so I like the fact that he's ready, willing, and able to accept a challenge from someone that may just be better than him. Doesn't matter, he's unfazed, he's ready for that challenge. His cons, he's not overly aggressive in the run game. And I'm not saying he can't tackle. We're talking about a 6'1", 203-pound defensive back. He can tackle. It's just that he's not aggressive. He's a guy that's playing 7 yards off, okay? He's saying to himself, hey, if y'all need me, I'm gonna be 7 yards off the ball. Y'all just hit me up if you need me. Front 7, defensive line, linebackers, y'all should be able to handle that. If y'all need me, hit me up. I'm back here about 7 yards off the ball. So if he sees a running back get about 5 yards, here comes Jalen Collins into the picture to make a tackle. But if that running back comes around the corner and it's only a 2-yard gain, you won't see Jalen Collins. He's not pressed to come and get into that action and get into that fray. He's like, hey, look, man, y'all got that. Again, if you need me, I'm here. Just holler at me. But I'm 7 yards off the ball. I'm not coming up there to help y'all out. Y'all got that. Y'all don't need me for that. But if you need me, 5 yards and past that, I'm there. I got you. So to me, be physical, be aggressive, come up, help. Be in run support. Go make a 2-yard tackle for loss. Go up there and tackle that running back for a 1-yard gain. That's not his game. He's not really looking to do that. He's fine with staying back there, and if the running back gets 5 yards past the line of scrimmage, here comes Jalen Collins. He's perfectly fine with waiting until the running back comes to his area and not going and attacking the running back in the run game. To me, he's not aggressive enough in the run game. Not a lot of starts here, and really I can start combining these. He doesn't have a lot of starts, and he's raw. Those are the next two cons. He didn't get a lot of starts at LSU. In fact, this was his first season really being the guy at the cornerback position. He took advantage of it, made a household name out of his play, and was able to make himself a viable candidate to be selected in the first round. Ultimately saw himself going in the second round. So he did something. The size, the speed, the athleticism, all of those things, they really benefited him in the long run. But this is a guy that doesn't have a lot of experience. He's very raw. There's a lot that he still has to learn at the cornerback position. And the reason why he's so raw is because he hasn't had enough experience playing the game at a very high level. And so there are a number of things that you're going to have to sort out with Jalen Collins. His back pedal can be high at times. That's the last con. And that's something that you get out of big cornerbacks, generally speaking. The rare breed of corners who don't have a high back pedal are usually the elite ones, where you get smooth back pedals for a bigger corner. They're able to come up, make plays on the football very easily because they're able to stop, start, and get up because they're not so high. When you're high and your back pedal, you're off balance sometimes. That happens to Jalen Collins, which doesn't allow him to react to the football as fast as I would like him to. I told you he's always around the ball. There's a reason why he didn't make a lot of plays. There's not a lot of plays made by Jalen Collins because he's not right where he needs to be at the right time. He's around when that football is delivered, but he's not in a position to take advantage. Even though he may know what's coming, he's not in a position to take advantage because his back pedal is high at times. But I look at Jalen Collins and I say to myself, there's a lot here with this kid, man. I like everything I see with this kid. I like the awareness. I like the size. Look at what is going on in the NFC South right now. Basketball on grass in Tampa Bay with the addition of Mike Evans and Austin Seferian-Jenkins to an already big receiver in Vincent Jackson. You're talking about 3 receivers, 6'5" or better there with those targets. 2 receivers and a tight end. You go to Carolina, they're doing the same thing. They like the model that the Buccaneers started running last year. They said, hey, looks like a good model for us to adopt as well. They already had Kelvin Benjamin from last year. They go out and get Devin Funchess from Michigan in the draft this year, and they still got Greg Olsen, one of the most underrated tight ends in the league. So you're talking about 3 options of 6'5" or better in Carolina as well. So you look around the division, you don't have anybody to cover those guys. Now you do. You have a guy in Jalen Collins that's fast as those guys, as tall as those guys. I mean, 6'1" isn't as tall as 6'4", 6'5", but he can jump, he can leap, and he can give you some kind of competitive situation with those receivers for those teams. You have a guy that can match up with them and run and try to make plays on the football. The question is, I feel like there's something missing with Jalen Collins. Don't really know what it is. I feel like there's a lot here. All the ingredients is here, but when I taste it, I feel like something's missing. I just tasted the cake batter. Something's missing. I can't quite put my finger on it, but something isn't in the batter. Something's not there with Jalen Collins. And it's up to the coaching staff to figure out what it is and put it in there and then bake the cake and get the finished product out. For me right now, Jalen Collins, cornerback out of LSU, 42nd pick overall in the draft, for me is a triple right now. Something's missing. And I want the coaching staff to figure out what it is and get the most out of this kid. Right now, this guy has everything you're looking for. Height, weight, speed, all of the things. He's aware, he knows what's going on. Can high point the football. I saw a play where he went up, he didn't pick it off, but he went up with a receiver. And he was able to go up and get the football and went right through his damn hands. But he still was there. It was a situation where the play broke down. He was aware, knew where the football was, went after it, didn't allow the receiver to catch it. And so this guy has a lot of intangibles. We know about the off the field issues, and this is why he wasn't a first round pick. That's another con, really, is can he steer clear of the weed, which is what saw him drop from the first round to the second round. You keep failing drug tests, and you know what's going on, and you still fail drug tests. teams take note of that and they say, you know what, we don't want to deal with this kid. Falcons got a steal if they can keep this kid's head level and get him to play some good football. They got a steal in the second round with Jalen Collins, but something's missing right now, and to me, he's a triple at this time. You go to the third round, 73rd overall selection, running back out of Indiana. Tevin Coleman is the selection. Man, I had so much fun watching the tape on Tevin Coleman. This kid is a stud. Now, there are a couple of things that you have to be wary of. Tevin Coleman had an leg injury, an ankle injury, foot injury that saw him miss the latter portion of his last season at Indiana. Kept him out of a lot of the off-field, off-season activities like the combine and things of that nature. So you don't really know what he's going to do when he gets back on the football field. However, this is a kid that is highly explosive. To me, the best straight line speed athlete in this draft. He's very tough, almost to a fault. He's not willing to just take what's there and just call it a day and go back to the huddle. He's lowering the shoulder. A lot of people think that his career is going to be very abbreviated because of how tough he runs the football. I don't know anything about that. Can't really project how long this guy's going to be around, but when he is, he could be a shooting star. I mean, he could blow up for 3-4 years and then fizzle out and flame out in a very beautiful explosion like a shooting star. I don't know what he's going to do, but I'll tell you this much. The Falcons haven't had a running back like this since Warrick Dunn. And he's not like Warrick Dunn, but the explosiveness, the ability to carry the football, catch it out of the backfield, do a little bit of everything. You haven't had a viable threat at running back since the days of Vic and Warrick Dunn. And so you got some stuff at running back, and you've been collecting some stuff, but none of those guys were 3-down backs. Vontae Freeman, the other Jaquiz Rogers, none of those guys are 3-down backs. You like them in certain situations, you don't like them on a down-in, down-out basis. Tevin Coleman is now your guy in Atlanta to hand the rock to and do a number of things for this football team. I love this pick. I love it in the third round. I think the injury allowed him to slip into the third round. Because of that injury and because of the unknown factor of how he will play coming off that injury and will he be able to stay healthy, he's a triple for me in the third round. I love this kid so much. I swear I wanted this one to go out of the park, man. But it bounced off the top of the wall, trickled around in the outfield. Tevin Coleman walks into third base with a stand-up triple for the Atlanta Falcons in the third round. If he comes back from that ankle injury and he's 100%, this kid is electric. He could be the next Chris Johnson. He's got that kind of speed. He doesn't have the agility. He's not making anybody miss. And I'm not going to break this kid down because I've already done that in the draft one-on-one series. But tell you what, there's a lot to like here. I can't wait to watch this kid play football. His tape was so much fun. Falcons are going to have a lot of fun with him on that field. You go to the fourth round, 107th overall selection, wide receiver out of East Carolina. Justin Hardy is the pick. Oh my goodness. Woo! This guy got me excited, man. I'm gonna tell you what. Look, you heard it here first, and my friend called me crazy for this. And he said I was overstepping my boundaries. And maybe I am, okay? And sometimes I've been known to do that, sometimes. So, sometimes don't pay me no mind, okay? But listen to what I'm saying, all right? If you have a situation like you did last year where the receiving core is all jacked up, all banged up, you know, Julio went down about game 5 or so in the season and was done for the rest of the year. Roddy came out of the gate stumbling. He was banged up before the season even started. If you have a situation where somebody misses a lot of games, one of the big two, and this guy has to fill in, and he's getting the targets, the requisite targets necessary for him to show his skill set, I'm going to say right now that this guy could have a Odell Beckham Jr. type season and effect on this offense. Yes, I just said it. I don't know if I meant it, but I just said it. He could be the next, shame on you when you step to the old dirty backup. He could be the next type of, I'm telling you right now, you put on the tape, man. This kid is impressive. Let's jump into, because I'm about to have a aneurysm talking about this kid and get so excited. So let me just go ahead, jump into the pros and get out of here before I go off and have a stroke on y'all from being so excited about this kid. Elite acceleration and agility. I'm watching the Florida tape. This is the bowl game, his last collegiate game against Florida. And they got a really good kid over there. Hargraves. You're going to hear his name down the road. This kid is electric at the cornerback position, man. And so he's out there, and Justin Hardy catches a wide receiver screen. And we all know his speed isn't what you would like it to be. And I'll talk about that a little bit later on. But he catches the football on a wide receiver screen. And it looks like this play is going nowhere fast. A couple of Florida defenders look like they about to get into the backfield. And he's able to make the first guy miss. He's able to juke the second guy, and then he takes off up a seam, and the acceleration and burst and the agility to make the defender miss and then go from 0 to 60 real quick was outstanding. It was out of bounds. And they ended up catching him at around the 2-yard line. East Carolina ended up scoring a touchdown on that play, on that possession. They throw another wide receiver screen at him. He does the same thing. This time it's beautifully blocked, and he just takes off. You see the explosion, and you see the agility. He takes off. They ended up catching him again, but like I said, man, this kid has elite acceleration and agility. Outstanding hands. This is why I feel like he could be the next OBJ, is because this guy's hands are ridiculous. And the reason why you know they're ridiculous, look at the amount of catches he had last year. 121 catches last season. Okay, you know this dude is getting the football and you still can't stop him. That's when you know you a bad, bad boy. When they know you getting the football about 8 or 9 times in the game and they still can't stop you from getting your hands on the rock. That's a bad man right there. Mama, there goes that man. Yes, indeed, Justin Hardy. He's tenacious. He's a guy that he wants to rock, and when he gets it, he's gonna let you know, I just caught the rock on you, boy. Give you a little bit of flavor when he get up. Look at you like you tried to steal from him or something, or you just said something about his mama. He's looking at you like, yeah, I just did that to you. He's got that kind of edge you're looking for, and I like that. He's feisty. The Falcons need that, man. They've been starving for an edge. They too nice in Atlanta. Time for some mean guys to get out there. Some guys with a little bit of aggression to get out there. Justin Hardy fits that bill. He's physical as a blocker. And he's not a big guy. We're talking about 5'11", 192 or so. He's not a huge guy, but he knows how to get the job done. There's a running play against Cincinnati. And running back gets outside, and I'm like, man, the corner's got to be coming any minute now. And Justin Hardy turns around and seals, and he's locking up, locks that goddamn cornerback up, drives him out of the play. Running back takes off down the sidelines, about a 60-yard touchdown, and Justin Hardy's block was the key. Because you know, in any big run, your receivers got to block. If you want to score from 45 or 55 yards out, your receivers got to block. If they don't block, then you're not scoring a touchdown unless you can make that guy miss. Justin Hardy said, you ain't got to make nobody miss, man. Just keep running fast. I'm going to take care of business for you. Blocks the guy, gets him out of the play. Very impressive. And you know how I am about guys blocking in the run game. I love it. So, you go on to his next pro. He's versatile. This dude can line up in the slot, which is where I think he will make a home early on in his career in Atlanta with Roddy White over there. Julio Jones on the other side. This guy's going to live in the slot and take Harry Douglas's spot in this offense. But don't be surprised if this guy gets some looks on the outside, because he can live outside too. This dude does a lot of things. He's versatile. So he can play in the slot. He can play out wide. He also was a punt returner at East Carolina. Don't know if you're going to explore that or not. Don't know if that's necessary. Don't know what the roster looks like quite yet. And if you have a guy that can do that, but if need be, Justin Hardy can do that too. And he threw a touchdown at East Carolina as well. So he's got a touchdown pass. And he actually was pretty good over his career. Threw a couple of passes. And so he can throw the football. Ran for a touchdown last year as well. Dude's the jack of all trades, so there's a lot of versatility here, man. Use him wisely, and this guy could be the next big thing at the wide receiver position. And again, with the offense that you have and all the targets you already possess, don't know how many opportunities this guy's gonna get to showcase his skills, but I'm telling you right now, this is a talented football player, if I may say so myself. Tremendous route runner, man. You don't get 121 catches by accident. You don't get 121 catches because the quarterback is force-feeding you the football. You're getting open, okay? That's how you get the football 121 times in your hands as a receiver, because you're open. And the way you get open is by running tremendous routes, and that's what this kid does. He gets open, quarterback gets him the football, he does the rest. Collegiate production through the roof. That's the last pro. So, I told you about the 121 catches. That's over damn near 1,500 yards, 1,495 yards, about 10 or 11 touchdowns to go with those yards. But the thing that was ridiculous was this was something that he did throughout his career. He didn't have 121 catches every year, but he broke the FBS career record for receptions that was held by Ryan Broyles of Oklahoma. 376 career grabs for Justin Hardy. The guy is a stud. He is a beast. So this is a guy that can get it done. His cons, and there's only one. I only got one, man. The tape was so fun to watch. I only got one con. Quicker than fast. I talked about this earlier. He's a 4.5, 640 guy. Okay, what are you gonna do? Shoot, okay? So he's not running a 4.4, 440. So he's not blazing anybody. The dude is a football player. He's a football player. He's a football player, man. Forget about all of that stuff. In the 3rd round or 4th round or whatever round they got this man in, 107th pick overall, East Carolina receiver Justin Hardy for the Atlanta Falcons. It's hit hard. It's hit deep. You can put it on the board. Yeah. All right. Justin Hardy, this kid is going to be big. I'm going to tell you right now, if the Falcons can devise ways to get this kid to football, I think he can burst on the scene in his rookie season and light it up. But I just don't know if there's enough footballs to go around. You still got Roddy White over here. You still got Julio over there. I don't know if there's enough footballs to get this kid the amount of attempts that he should get. But my goodness, I'm going to tell you what. That kid there, he's special. You just upgraded Harry Douglas by 4 times, right there. Enough said, I'm going on to the 5th round. 137th overall selection, defensive tackle out of Clemson, Grady Jarrett is the selection. You look at his pros. 6'1", 304-pound, aggressive, one-gap penetrator. This dude finds the football, okay? He's a guy that can get into the backfield, he can knife in, and he's very quick. And that's one of his pros, and I'll go ahead and lump it in now. He is very quick off the snap, can use a rip move and get into the backfield with the best of them. He's not a 2-gapper, he's a 1-gapper, and man, does he penetrate. He was part of the reason why Clemson had one of the most ferocious defenses in all of college football. They got it done, and he was one of the big reasons why. I actually talked to a Clemson fan, and he said, look, I'm going to tell you right now, Vic Beasley got all the press. But if you want to talk about the most consistent and best football player on the team year in and year out, it was Grady Jarrett. So that's a lofty statement, and I don't really know what that means, but I'm going to tell you what, watching the tape, I can see why he would make a claim like that. Plays on the other side of the line of scrimmage. Just told you he was an aggressive 1-gap penetrator. He's on that other side of the line of scrimmage. And if you don't believe me, look at his tackles for loss. You don't generally have a guy from the defensive tackle position putting up double-digit tackles for loss on a yearly basis. He did it the last 2 years at Clemson. About 11 last year and about 10.5 the year before that. The guy gets to the ball carrier before they get back to the line of scrimmage. That is aggressive attacking defense if I've ever seen it. And Grady Jarrett does that on a consistent basis. He started the point of attack. He's 6'1", he's 304 pounds. He's not the biggest guy in the world in terms of height, but he stands up at the point of attack. You're not going to move this guy very often. And so I love that about Grady Jarrett as well. He's going to stand his ground. You're not going to go through him. You may go around him, but you're damn sure not going through Grady Jarrett. You look at his leverage, and I talked about him being 6'1". Use it to your advantage, okay? So you're not the tallest guy. You don't have the longest arms. So what? use your leverage. You're already low center of gravity. You're already underneath the pads of the offensive lineman. Good, stay there, stay low, get up under their pads and drive them back. That's what he does. And again, that's smart football. He has a pod. You know how I feel about defensive linemen with pods. He can stick it out there, man. I saw one play. He's getting blocked. Running back thinks he's about to tiptoe past Grady Jarrett. Shh, don't tell nobody I'm coming. He tries to tiptoe past Grady. Grady said, no, you don't. Sticks that long arm of the law out there and drags his behind down. And so I love it when a guy shows the ability to have a pod. For those of you who don't know the vernacular, paw of doom. A pod, he's got one. That's a pro for Grady Jarrett. Bloodlines. You of all people should know, you Atlanta Falcons fans should know that the bloodlines exist. A big time player, hell, a Ring of Fame type guy for the Falcons. Jesse Tuggle is his dad. That's daddy right there, yeah. So you get in a second generation football player. And we all know the career Jesse Tuggle had for the Falcons. So if he's anything like his daddy, you got yourself a football player. We go to the cons. Short limbs. I talked about him being 6'1". Can't do anything about that. He's a short guy, short arms, short legs. Going to have to make up for it with quickness, which he does, and leverage, which he does that as well. Going to have to get into the chest of the offensive lineman before they get their hands on you, because you're shorter, they got longer arms, they can keep you at bay if they get their hands on you first. So it's important for him to be aggressive, which he is. He's off balance at times. To me, this is my pet peeve with Grady Jarrett. He is off balance sometimes because he's so quick. He's trying to get in the backfield so fast. And sometimes he can be a little off balance. You know what happens when you're off balance? Offensive linemen take you down. Getting ready to take you down now, boy. Getting ready to take you down. They're taking him down like Jerome. He's on the ground and then they're getting on top of him, pancaking him with a little bit of syrup on top. And I'm like, come on, man. Stay off the ground. Stay off the ground, Grady. So that's one of my biggest pet peeves for Grady Jarrett. He's on the ground just a little bit too much for my liking. He misses tackle opportunities too often. Now, this is a guy that are giving back. I'll give you an example. They're playing against Georgia, and I know, Todd Gurley isn't the easiest guy to bring down, but I don't care. They throw a screen early in the game, and this is a smart football player. That's another pro for this dude. Extremely smart. He knows. He smells. Uh-oh, I smell screen. Screen! He smells screen. He gets out there. He meets. Okay, he meets Todd Gurley out there at the mesh point for the screen. He's got Todd Gurley wrapped up for about a 4-yard loss. Lets him go. Now, luckily, he came with friends, okay? And so it's good when you come with friends. They got him down on the ground, still 2-yard loss. They got to punt the football, but you could have had him for yourself for a 4-yard loss. What are you doing, man? Get him on the ground. Florida State game. He gets in the backfield. Remember, that's the game Jameis Winston didn't play. So they got some bum back there, and Vic Beasley went to work that night. So did your stud linebacker, Stephon Anthony, and so did Mr. Jarrett. I told you this Clemson defense was loaded. So, Grady gets back there in the backfield on 2 occasions. The first time he had him, I'm like, are you trying to strip him or you just can't get him down? What's going on? The dude ain't that big. He's not Jameis Winston. He's not 240 pounds. What are you doing? Get this guy around. And he didn't get him down. He lets the dude throw a wobbly duck up in the air. It's not picked off. It's incomplete. Could have been like a 5-yard sack for a loss. Okay, so he got away. It happens. Next play, or not next play, the next time he had an opportunity to get the quarterback on the ground, he just beat the guard like he stole something. Get him out of here. Beat him like he stole something. Gets in the backfield. He's got the quarterback all lined up. Ooh, right in my sights. Locks the crosshairs on him. Boom. He's got him. He's got him. No, he don't got him. He don't got him. Quarterback gets away, is able to throw the football. And I'm like, come on, Grady, you had another sack. And so when you look at his sack numbers, you say, he didn't get to the quarterback. Au contraire, my friend, he gets to the quarterback. He just don't get him down enough. He needs to be a better tackler. If he can do that, this is a guy right here that's a stud for me in the 5th round. I love this guy, and I love this pick, and I love where you got him in the draft. Okay? This is a triple for the Atlanta Falcons. Grady Jarrett is a difference maker in the middle of your defense. You need all the defensive help you can get. You're pairing up 2 Clemson defensive teammates with each other. They know what to do. Those young fellas, they know what to do. Their talents, they transcend from the college to the pro game, okay? They transcend the whole rookie wall and all of that stuff. They're gonna come in and they're gonna help you right away. This is great value. All you gotta do is tackle, man. This guy is a beast. Fifth round triple for the Falcons with Grady Jarrett, the defensive tackle out of Clemson. To me, a steal in the 5th round. You go to the 7th round, no 6th round selection for the Falcons. They got 2 7th rounders. We start with the first of those two. 225th overall selection, offensive lineman out of Eastern Washington, Jake Rogers is the selection. Here's his pro, 6'6", 315-pound, big offensive lineman. He mirrors very well. Moves his feet like hammer time. Moves his feet very well. I was impressed with the way he was able to mirror the defensive ends as they were trying to get up the field. He was able to stay in front of them, and this is when he was at tackle. And I'll talk about versatility here in a second. Matter of fact, that's the next pro. I'm gonna talk about it right now. He's a guy that played guard and tackle. In 2014, he was on the depth chart as a guard. The year before that, he was a tackle, but the tape that I watched, he started the game at tackle, and then the next 2 or 3 series straight, he was at guard. So he can give you a little bit of both. To me, he's going to have to play guard. He's not good enough to play tackle, and I'll tell you why a little bit later on. But he played in both FBS and FCS. So FBS is the big boy football. That's the football bowl series. And so he played in that at Washington State. He transferred from Washington State to Eastern Washington. And so he played in the FCS as well. That's the football collegiate series where they got the playoffs and all of that stuff. So he played in both. So you can say, oh, he went to Eastern Washington. That's not a big school, right? But he did play at Washington State, and he was good at Washington State. So he's got experience in both, and that lets me know that he can play against a higher level of competition. He's playing with a purpose, and he's got a story, and I'm gonna tell you the story briefly real quick. And it's a really sad story, and it makes you root for guys like this. His dad in the stands rooting him on in their final game of their season, what turned out to be the final game of their season, as they were playing Northern Illinois in the playoffs. His dad collapses in the stands while watching his son play football. They rush him to the hospital. He stays in the hospital for a week and then passes away. So his dad dies while watching him play his final collegiate football game. So he's playing with a purpose. He's a mentally tough kid. He knows what's in front of him. His dad wanted him to make it to the NFL, so he's living out a dream right now, not only himself, but his dad as well. So he's playing with a heavy heart. He's playing with a purpose. You root for guys like this, and I hope he's able to not only stick on this Falcons roster, but carve out a niche for himself in the National Football League. But you go to his cons. He needs to get stronger. Okay, this is a guy that I saw bull rushed on a number of occasions on the tapes that I watched. He wasn't able to anchor down all the time. This wasn't a situation where he was bull rushed all the time, but he was bull rushed enough to make me uncomfortable with him standing up at the point of attack with some of these beast defensive tackles that we have at the next level. His reaction is slow. That's why he can't play tackle. The times I saw him beat the worst were at tackle with quickness, guys able to get around him. And I'll go ahead and throw in this last con as well because they go together. His reaction is slow and he can't recover. So you put those two together, that's trouble. That's a recipe for disaster. You're asking for Matt Ryan to be on his back if you've got guys like him in the game where they're too slow to react and then the guy can't recover and at least hold. Okay, fine, you get beat. Don't let Matt Ryan take a shot. Hold him if you gotta hold him. If they call it, cool, they call it. If they don't, great, you got away with a hold. But he's not even fast enough to recover. I saw guys running around him like he was a turnstile. And he would turn around, oh damn, I'm beat, try to catch him. He couldn't even catch up to him. So he's got to play guard. He's not, to me, fast enough, quick enough out there to play tackle. But in the 7th round, 225th overall selection, offensive lineman out of Eastern Washington, Jake Rogers for me is a single. There's a lot here that has to be worked on. He's a 7th round pick. You took a flyer on this guy. You're hoping that he pans out, can give you some flexibility along the offensive line. The more you can do, the more likely it is you're to stick on a roster. He can play guard and tackle. I wouldn't recommend you putting him in the game as a tackle, but there is some experience there. I think he's more suited for guard at the next level. He's a big kid. If he gets in the weight room, if he's able to find a niche as a guard in the league, I think this is a guy that could be a backup at some point for you, but I'm not sold on him. He is a single. You round out your draft in the 7th round, 249th overall selection, defensive back out of San Jose State. Akeem King is the selection. This is a big man, 6'3", 212 pounds. This is a big kid. You look at him on tape and you say, yeah, he's big, all right. This is a big kid. And he's a safety. And he's an athlete, man. And that's what got him drafted. You look at his athleticism. I'm gonna read you off a series of numbers that let you know just how athletic this kid is. 4'4", 340. Yikes. We're talking about, listen to what I just said now. 4'4", 6'3", 212 pound safety, all right? Okay, that's athleticism, that's height, weight, speed, specimen, all of that good stuff. 37.5-inch vert, a 10-2 on the broad jump, and 20 reps of 2 1/4. So you're talking about a big physical specimen, okay? Look, any time you get a guy with that kind of size, that kind of weight and height, and the kind of physicality that 20 reps of 2 1/4 brings, you're intrigued. You're like, all right, where's this kid at? Sign me up, okay? You'll take a 7th round flyer on a kid with those kind of measurables. He's physical, okay? I saw a couple of shots, and I'm like, woo, that was a little spicy. He hit some dudes. I was like, okay, he's not playing around. And you can see where that speed and that physicality translates to the field. And another thing that I was impressed with, that physical nature, he was getting up in Cat's face. He didn't give a damn receivers, tight ends. He was getting up in everybody's face and jamming them at the line of scrimmage. I was like, you go ahead, boy. That's a lot of stuff. You know, I am about getting in the face and being aggressive. He didn't give a damn. Slow tight end, fast tight end, shifty receiver. He was in everybody's face. When they told him come up to the line of scrimmage and blitz, or come up to the line of scrimmage and drop over the slot, he was aggressive every single time. And I love that about Akeem King. Because of that, there's upside here. I don't have to tell you that there's upside. I just told you the man is 6'3", 212, 4'4", 340, 37.5 vert, 10-2 broad, and 20 reps of 2 1/4. I just told you all of that. I don't need to tell you that there's upside here. Then I'm gonna sprinkle some stuff on the top and tell you that he's aggressive, can hit, and come up and cover over the slot and be aggressive and play bump and run coverage. So there's a lot to like here. What's wrong though? Why is he in the 7th round? What's going on here? Cons. He doesn't wrap up. I just told you he's physical. The 2 shots that I told you about, there was no wrapping up involved here. These were some straight shoulders. And they were nasty. Shoulder lean. He was shoulder leaning in the guys, and it was vicious. But he wasn't wrapping up nothing. I saw him miss about 2 tackles where he just straight up missed because he didn't wrap up. And you get that big hit syndrome where you want to light everybody up, but there's something to be said about just getting a guy on the ground. Okay, Akeem, I know you can hit hard. How about you get the guy on the ground first, man? And so that's something that, you know, it irks me a little bit. Get the guy on the ground. Stop trying to be a hammer all the time and just get a guy on the ground. He's raw, okay? I'm gonna lump these next 3 cons together because they all go hand in hand in hand. He's raw. The reason he's raw, very inexperienced. Only 12 starts. He started this past season. His senior year was his only year of starting at the safety position. He came to college as a wide receiver, okay? He wasn't a cornerback when he showed up on San Jose State's campus. He was a receiver. And then he sat out for a year, redshirted, and they said, you know what? We're gonna move you to cornerback, and made the transition. He was playing cornerback, safety ever since. And this was his first opportunity to start. And so because of that, not starting his entire career until the senior year, he's raw. Still got a lot to learn, wet behind the ears, breath smelling like Similac. And then there's no production because of that. He didn't have a spike in his production from an interception, a sack, forced fumble standpoint. Just because he got more time, he didn't have a spike in tackles. You play 12 games, you a safety. You expect to have 71 tackles, which is what he had on the season, but no interceptions, no sacks, despite blitzing quite a bit. No forced fumbles. I mean, he didn't do anything extraordinary. So there's still a lot here that you have to work on with Akeem King, but that's a lot to work with. 6'3", 212, 4'4", 340. I'm not going down the list of that stuff again. There's a lot here, but because he's so inexperienced, he's still a single in the 7th round. I still got a lot of questions. He still doesn't have all the answers for me, so there's still a lot to work with. I wanted to give him a double. There's not enough production here. I don't know if you can do this at an elite level week in and week out. And that's what I'm afraid of. But with the right coaches, this kid could turn into something special. I always am intrigued by that kind of height, weight, speed specimen because you can do something with that. What? I don't know, but we'll find out together. And that's the Atlanta Falcons draft. Let's tally up the scores, shall we? You look at what the Falcons were able to accomplish. 2 home runs in the first round and in the 4th round with Vic Beasley and Justin Hardy. You got 3 triples, which nets you a triples bonus. Triple for Jalen Collins in the 2nd, triple for Tevin Coleman in the 3rd, triple for Grady Jarrett in the 5th. That nets you a triples bonus, so you got 4 triples there, and then 2 singles to finish up your draft with Jake Rogers and Akeem King. You tally all that up, you get 27 points for the Atlanta Falcons. You divide by their 7 draft picks, 3.1 triple. Add the Falcons to the very small list of teams that have hit triples in the 2015 NFL Draft Wrap-Up Series. So Falcons did some work. Those first 5 picks might have been the most impressive of any team in this year's draft with their first 5 selections. Don't know if you can do it much better than the Falcons did. Now it's all about getting production out of those football players. Those guys, those first 5 picks, I expect immediate production from all 5 of those guys. First year contributions from all of them. Add him to a defense that's starting to build the right way. You now have Vic Beasley on that line, Rashid Hegman on that line. Grady Jarrett will soon be on that line. You're starting to build things the right way in Atlanta. Start from within, fan your way out. Got the young boys on the outside, add Jalen Collins to that mix. Could be building something special on the defensive side. We know what the offense looks like. Add Justin Hardy to that mix. And boy, I'll tell you what, don't get me started. Falcons, hell of a 2015 NFL draft. That's going to do it for the Atlanta Falcons in their 2015 NFL draft. If it happens in the National Football League, another big, once more, you know, we cover it all here in the lab room. Come back and join me as I continue to break down anything and everything in the National Football League. Who's next? There's plenty more where that came from. While you're here, subscribe to the channel. If you want more Louie T, be sure to follow me on Twitter @InTheLabRoom, or you can like the Facebook page @InTheLabRoom. That's In the Lab Room on Facebook and @InTheLabRoom on Twitter. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so.